Good morning. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. I certainly am. The weather outside's not too bad. So what I want to do is sit in a dark room and talk to you lot. And I want to engage in a little bit of speculation. At CES this last week, Nvidia announced that Geforce Now Beta is coming to the PC. And it's available right now as I'm recording this, though I did have to sign up for a waiting list. So, you may have to do the same thing as well. This is an interesting service for people with lower spec PCs if they want to game on those devices. But as I was watching the videos and reading articles relating to this, a nagging thought kept coming into my head. And that was to do with Nvidia's partnership with Nintendo. And Nintendo and Nvidia have established a pretty lucrative business partnership so far for the Switch. As you may know, Nvidia are making the hardware for the Switch. Now, with this partnership moving forward, I started to speculate upon what might come of it. And I started to think that maybe, just maybe, we might see Geforce Now and GameStream coming to the Switch. But hold that thought for a moment, because let's just talk about what Geforce Now and GameStream are. First off, I have to say that this can get a little bit confusing, as Geforce Now and GameStream are both streaming services and they offer slightly different functionality. Add to that the fact that there are several versions of Geforce Now that work on different systems, from the Shield to the Mac and now, as I've already said, the PC. And it starts to get even more confusing. But I've talked about the confusing nomenclature over at Nvidia before, relating to both Geforce Now and other products. For instance, the Titan, Titan X, Titan XP, and so on and so forth. So, I'm not going to go into too much about Nvidia and their weird naming schemes here. Basically, though, GameStream streams PC games to the Nvidia Shield. And it works in much the same way as the Steam Box from Valve. We have currently around about 300 PC games that are optimized for GameStream. So if you have a big Steam library, many of those games are already streamable to the Shield, the Nvidia Shield, which is their kind of home console, if you like. And you can use GameStream to stream those PC games to your Nvidia Shield. Obviously, you have to own those games. Geforce Now is a little bit different though. It's very similar in use to Sony's PlayStation Now service. Obviously, the difference with Sony is that the games are, again, PC games, which gives Geforce Now a potentially huge library. And it's also cheaper as well. I think PS Now is, $12.99 a month, whereas Geforce Now is $7.49 a month, so it's a lot cheaper. So, put simply, Geforce Now streams games to compatible devices from Nvidia servers, while GameStream streams games that you own from your PC to the Nvidia Shield, although potentially they could be streamed to other devices as well. And that brings me back to Nintendo and the Switch. The Switch has surprised a lot of people, not least me. It's done incredibly well so far. It's got a decent library of both first and third party games, especially for a machine that's less than a year old. And its sales figures are, they're amazing. You guys, if you've watched my videos, know that I wasn't convinced about the Switch. But, I've had to eat crow on that one. The fact of the matter is it's selling really well. But Nintendo do need to keep up the momentum. And one way to do that might be to offer a large library of PC games via a streaming service such as Geforce Now. And it wouldn't just help Nintendo either, it would be beneficial to Nvidia as well, because the flip side of this is that Geforce Now would become a lot more attractive to developers if the games are coming to a much bigger gamer base. And with the Switch looking increasingly like it's going to be a runaway success, it could potentially provide that gamer base. Just picture E3 for a moment, or, more likely a Nintendo Direct, in which Nintendo announced Geforce Now and or GameStream coming to the Switch. All those members of the PC master race who've bought the Switch as a second system would lay an egg. Suddenly you'd be able to play PUBG in bed or Shadow Warrior on the toilet. It's a very attractive proposition. But could the Switch even manage to do this? Could it stream these games? Is it powerful enough? Well, given that the Switch is basically the same as the Nvidia Shield under the hood, and the fact that both of these services are already available on the Shield TV, well, I can't see any reason why it shouldn't be able to do this. And from Nvidia's point of view, I would think that they would love to see these services come to the Switch, as it's a way of getting them to a large and growing number of gamers who may otherwise not have heard of these services. So the only spanner in the works might be Nintendo themselves. We all know that they've got a long history of wanting to remain, for the most part at least, family friendly. So that might put them off allowing PC games to come to their consoles. But we've seen that they've become a little bit more flexible this generation, with Doom already coming to the Switch. So maybe that's not such a big concern, especially as Geforce Now is, in effect, curated by Nvidia. So some of the dodgier indie titles will likely never be on the service. For Nintendo, though, opening up their hardware to a service from a third party, even one like Nvidia, with whom they've got a close working partnership, could also be a stumbling block. But again, we've seen a whole different side to Nintendo lately. The cross-play deals they've done with Microsoft are pretty groundbreaking, and everybody seems to be happy with the way it's going. Though personally, as a gamer, I'd like to see it go further, but that's a topic for another video. What this all shows, though, is that Nintendo are open to these kind of partnerships. So it's not beyond the pale that they would entertain this. Especially, as I've already said, Nintendo and Nvidia already have a close partnership going with the Switch's hardware. Of course, there could be some technical issues as well. Streaming services are still, well, streaming services. And they're not ideal for games, are they? Not yet, anyway. Nvidia claim their service is second to none, but gamers using Geforce Now are still subject to the vagaries of their network connections, so things like latency and other problems could still be a real issue, especially as the Switch isn't known for having the most robust network capabilities. But given the Switch's limited storage capacity, a streaming service is a great way to get games onto the system that would otherwise struggle to fit, and with potentially better performance than games actually running on the platform itself. Because with a streaming service, the games are actually running on a server somewhere, and you're just streaming them to your machine. So you don't need anything particularly powerful to get good performance, as long as your network connection is good. And obviously that's a big, big issue there, right there. But say Nintendo don't have any objections and Nvidia do bring these services to the Switch. If we could overcome some of the hardware problems, perhaps the Switch could become the actual killer piece of hardware, the hardware solution, if you like, that finally ushers in the age of game streaming services, with Nvidia at the forefront of those services. It's possible. As I say, it's all just speculation, but it doesn't hurt to speculate sometimes, and with all the bad news currently circulating within the gaming industry, a bit of harmless speculation, well, it's a nice distraction. So with that in mind, what do you guys think about this? Do you think it's possible that Geforce Now and GameStream could come to the Switch? Or do you think Nintendo's conservative nature might hold them back? Could Nintendo even be planning something similar for its own back catalogue? You know, maybe we will see a Nintendo streaming service. Who knows? And what other slightly wild ideas do you think we might see later this year, either from Nintendo or anyone else? You know, have Sony got something up their sleeve? Have Microsoft got something up their sleeve? Could we even see some new games from Xbox? Pigs might fly. Tell me what you think in the comments, and as ever, we'll have a chat. And in the meantime, I'm going to do my usual and go and get myself a cup of tea. and I'll speak to you in the next one. Bye.